Hello, my beautiful cuddlebugs. Welcome to Ramblings of a Book Dragon, where we dive into the warmth of good books and unravel stories that feel like a literary hug. I'm Allie, your host, and I'm thrilled to embark on another cozy adventure with you. So grab a cup of your favorite beverage, snuggle into your cozy reading nook, and let's begin. But before we do, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so that you won't miss a single episode. I really value your feedback and book recommendations. Now let's begin. Today I'm reviewing the Bookshop Mysteries Book 1, A Bitter Pill by S.A. Reeves, a small-town cozy mystery performed by Emily Mount. We follow Gemma, the owner of the Bookworm, a bookshop in Derbyshire. I apologize for the mispronunciation. Everything was going well with the bookshop. She owns it, and they've been talking about wanting to expand what they're doing with it. They currently also have coffee, and they're talking about also getting a liquor license. They just want to make it a place for everyone in the village, in the community, to be able to go for books. And also, of course, they are very pro physical books. They just want people to be able to go in and relax and just enjoy a good book. And everything's going well. They even decide that one of their new adventures into expanding their bookshop is to be able to have a writer come in to go over one of his books. And they know this big-time author who is a local to the area, Dominic Wesley. He agrees to do a reading of his book as well as a signing, which is great. And he even shows up and begins to read. Everything is going well. There's a bunch of people there. It's all looking like it's going to be fantastic. Except he goes to the bathroom and dies, which is not good. The death is ruled as an accidental overdose, but his widow thinks that one of his past lovers kills him. And rather than go straight to the police, Gemma and her assistant Mavis decide to play cozy detective and even put together a murder board. So they start to examine the events. They look at everyone who has been going on, and we have 3 suspects. The wife who was separated, but they were starting to consider coming back, and there was potentially this big amount of money coming in. And then we also have the lover, who we find out was actually pregnant, and he wanted her to get rid of the baby, but she didn't want to do that. And then we finally have the third one, who's a contractor who just did a $30,000 redesign and expansion of the kitchen. So I thought the book was really cute and cozy. There were a couple of things that kind of just, I don't know if it was the writing or the way the narrator was doing it, but there were a couple of things that were just kind of like, do we really need to do this? Do we really need to be this melodramatic? Because like at first these are the 3 main focuses, and then she also has a couple of other people that are working at the bookstore and as well as in the cafe, and everything just seems to be going just fine and dandy. She's becoming better friends with the widow. They go to the funeral, and she's basically pointing fingers at, like, she believes that there may be one lover, but she's not sure if there's any more. So Mavis goes to talk to the lover, and the lover's like, I thought that he was divorced, and I had no idea about any of this. So I don't know. It's just it just seems like they just thought that Mavis and Gemma just thought that this was some fun thing, and like it didn't quite click in their head that they were trying to solve a murder mystery. I don't know. It just seemed a little weird the way that this became them solving a murder, and there's going to be a second book. It's like, ooh, what's going on here with this book? I mean, it was cozy and it was cute, and it was them going to their murder board and them enjoying coffee and scones, and them talking about the expansions of the bookshop and everything. And they really get their big clue that kind of leads them in the right direction and finally gets them to involve the police. Because it's like, why are they not involving the police with their initial suspects? Because, like, I get it. They're wanting to try to figure out what's going on first before they even go to the police. And luckily, Gemma's ex-fiancé is a detective inspector, which is good. And except because of his busy schedule, she wound up deciding, no, I can't do this. She broke off the engagement. And they were really living in like way back when with everything when it came to their actual the way they were doing things in the bookshops. Like they really were needing to upgrade their system. And so they finally decided to purchase a new system, and one of the guys was able to come by and actually help install it. It's a point of sale system to replace their old POS system. So he overheard them talking about, like, because they were trying to figure out how was he able to overdose because he was on beta blockers. So they were trying to figure out how could he have overdosed? How could he have taken so much of this? And they really weren't sure of how this could happen. So it was like, oh, well, they could have gotten this on the dark web. And Gemma and Mavis were like, what are you talking about? What's the dark web? And so he shows that to them, and he shows them this website, like just a random website. Probably, I don't even know how. I'm sure there's plenty of other website options as well of where someone could go to get things. But he shows them just how casually you can buy things on the dark web. And then he also explains Bitcoin, and so we get this whole random lecture. We get this whole lecture about, and it's a good thing to learn, and it makes sense in the book, but we learn all about Bitcoin, and we learn all about the dark web and this website, and it kind of reminded me of in Dark History, if you've ever listened to Bailey Sarian, and everything that was going on with Silk Road. It kind of was reminding me of that a little bit, but unfortunately it was kind of like, well, there's really they would really have to get the police involved to figure out who bought this enough medication to be able to kill him. That's getting above their point of concern. But it kind of just irked me a little the way she was talking about, oh, the innocence, the innocent naturally, the innocent. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was just very like, okay. Luckily, that wasn't something that was going on too often in the book, talking about how things are no longer as innocent as they appear. Like, things are no longer the way it used to be. And it's like, okay, calm down. Like, calm down now. And like later on, she talks about, oh, this no longer seemed like fun and games. Or like, she didn't say fun and games, but just the way she was wording it is like, a man died, ma'am. Like, come on. You knew you were trying to solve a murder here. It's like it wasn't clicking for them. And that felt kind of weird. That is like, I don't know, maybe with the other cozy mysteries that I've read, like I love a good cozy mystery, but the way that this all fit, it didn't make sense why these two women were wanting to solve it, because yeah, he died in their bookshop and they were talking to the wife, but it's like, why are they getting themselves involved, especially if she has an ex-fiance who is a cop? I don't know. Something about it just didn't quite fit right with me there, but if you would just ignore the logistics, it's a cute book. Very cute. And then, of course, we had to get into the whole big reveal of her going all Poirot, and we find she does accidentally find the person who is potentially the murderer trying to burn the evidence, because they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're talking to the three suspects. And I kind of wish we had a little bit more of a hint of the big reveal, because it turned out to not even be the three suspects. It turned out to be someone else entirely. And looking back on it, I see what the author was doing with the kind of hinting, but I wish that we had a little bit more, because it felt almost kind of left field for the reader. And I kind of wish we had a little bit more, because we're inside Gemma's head. Like, we're inside her head. We know her thinking. But instead, we're kind of taken out of her head because we don't know what she does over the weekend. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I did this and this is how I figured it out." And it's like, I kind of wish that we were taken with her as that process, but I get why the author didn't do that. But it felt kind of jump I w- I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a writer, but I'm will I read the second book? Probably, because I'm curious about how she's going to do the second book. Like, I'm hoping it's focusing more on the expansion of the bookstore. I'm sure it's going to be another murder mystery. Someone else is going to die. And I'm sure, but like, it was interesting that, like, the detective inspector came back into her life and now they're going to go get drinks. And we're going to potentially have a rekindling of the romance. We shall see what happens, obviously. Or maybe someone else will come into her life. Who knows? But it was nice that it all did get tidied up all nicely. And while there was a death and there were other things that were going on, there was plenty of the dramas in the book. It wasn't too terrible. It was just those little, tiny little bits that were kind of just like twitchy a little, where it's like, really? Really? Like, we could have taken this out. Like, we could have taken this out. But that's just my personal opinion, because it's like it was like the author was trying to be dramatic, and like she was trying to do something and thinking she was being Miss Fancy Pants, and it was like, do we really need to do this? But like, okay, people. But that is my opinion. As always, take it all with a great big mountain of salt, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.